Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back to the Diamond Download. We're here, me and Chase are in our matching outfits.
I didn't even notice
Black
that.
entrepreneur Steve Jobs shirt. What's going on, man?
Not much. Was actually running a sale for my course, so kind of like exciting times for that and getting ready to launch the next one. So I'm pumped.
Wait, which course?
My ecom email course was running a sale. Haven't done one of those in a while. I'm
Oh,
like, dude, I got a bunch of new stuff coming. Let's get the last one out. Plus, I've been getting some great feedback on Twitter this past week of the main course. Someone asked like the best email course, and they had like I don't know, 8 out of the 9 people recommended my course. I'm like, fuck it, let's run a sale. Let's do this. There's lots of good information to have. I want people to get their hands on it. Let's do like a clearance type sale. So I ran a sale and it's
hmm.
been fantastic.
You know what's crazy, bro? As saturated as email marketing feels, I don't think I know anybody else with an email marketing course. Do you know anybody else who's released one in the last, like, basically after you?
No, I actually don't. Um, and I've never seen anyone actually launch like an SMS course. Like I haven't seen like an e-commerce email marketing course since mine. I'm sure they exist, but I haven't seen one on my feed, and I look for a lot of this stuff, and I've never seen an SMS course. I don't teach SMS, but I was thinking about that the other day too. I haven't. That's interesting.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, you're the goat for a reason. I remember, like, do you think that was kind of what like catapulted you? Actually, wait, this isn't a topic, but I'm actually super curious. Everybody has sort of like a moment on social media that puts them up where they're, they ascend, they get a ton of attention right away, and if you can capitalize on it, then it sticks around, and that's how you build an audience really fast. I remember what mine was, but do you remember what your like moment was that sort of made you famous?
Yeah, I think it's two things. I think one, and it's interesting. So I was in Hawaii a couple weeks ago, and the last time I was in Hawaii, which was about 4 or 5 years ago, I got a call from Founder Magazine. So I was just thinking about this a couple weeks ago, and they asked me to do a course with them. And for me, this was back in like 2018, 2019, something like that. I was building the personal brand, but it was early. So I felt like that gave me a lot of like external credibility from kind of getting like that stamp of approval, seeing how they run things, being in a bunch of their ads that a bunch of my friends and family members saw. So I think for me, like that was kind of like the first one was like being a part of Founders course with 4 other experts. It was myself, Nick, this lady named Greta, and then 2 other dudes. That was one. And then I think two would probably be the launch of my course. Just the fact that like there was so much social sharing of it without me ever asking people. And I think too, just so much sharing of it behind closed doors. Like teams would buy it, and I'd have like 10 or 20 people at an agency tell me that they went through my course. And my kind of course became like the go-to training for a bunch of big agencies. So I think that allowed me to take the few thousand course buyers that bought it from me directly, and that led to 2 to 5 people watching on each kind of purchase or each license, which kind of like spread it further than I would have ever myself. So I think that was definitely important. When you think about yours, what was your kind of defining moment?
Yeah, and before I say that, I don't know if people understand the pull that you had in 29 or not 20, like 2020, 2021. When you first started like launching that stuff, like dude, every single tweet you had was just going bomb. Like,
Yeah,
and it didn't even seem like you didn't have any controversy or anything like that, but you went from like 0 to 100K followers in like pretty much like a year, right?
yeah, probably 12 to 18 months. I haven't grown much since. I think I'm at like 140 now. So Twitter is definitely a different place today. But yeah, Twitter back in like 2020 to 2021 was fantastic. I really miss that
Yeah.
place.
Dude, it was great. I remember I had so much fun on the early days of Twitter. I my moment I had a sad one and then like kind of like a silly one. So like my first like launch that put me on anyone's radar was like I basically had this tweet kind of complaining about how like adulthood was really boring because like I was doing really well with copywriting. But I was making really good money, but I wasn't spending any of it, and I was like, I had no life, bro. Like all I did was work,
Yeah.
and I was like in the crib 12 hours a day. And I remember tweeting, I was like, dog, like, is this it? Like, is this all we're gonna get out of this? And then it got like hundreds and hundreds of likes, and I remember probably close to like 100 or 2 comments,
Wow.
people like replying to it saying like, yo, like basically trying to fix the problem that like I wasn't even really asking for. I was kind of just like griping into the universe. And I remember I made a lot of friends from that. And then the second thing that I think sort of like put me on like the map was I was like sort of like the front runner of like exposing this like big Twitter account that was kind of not a scammer, but he was kind of just like a bum, and like he was lying about like money he made, and he was just like just a I don't know. He was just a bum, and so I like made a bunch of memes about him when he was like going down. You know who this guy is too. I think he like claimed that he worked with you or something like that, and I
Okay.
think you had to like
Huh.
come out and say like I don't know who this guy is. I don't know. I'll tell you
Yeah, tell
after,
me
but
after.
yeah, but that was like another thing, and then I just like would start making little inside jokes for Twitter, and that was like kind of what popped me off.
That's
And I remember I went from like 200 followers to like 10K in like 6 months
wow. And
or
you,
less. Yeah, it was crazy.
and it's interesting. I remember like two things about you. I think one time, I think the very first time you went to Miami, you became a meme. I remember everyone shared the meme of you. Like you became a meme. I remember seeing that everywhere. And then
I
alongside that, I
forgot
felt
about
like you
that.
kind of found like this circle of guys that were probably all, or a lot of them were in Miami. And I felt like you guys kind of came
Mm.
up together through the ranks, kind of like pumping each other, strategically or indirectly, just organically liking each other's stuff. That's kind of like what I remember about you. That your picture was everywhere. I don't know if it was like you on the streets at like 2 or 3 a.m. I can't
Yep.
remember exactly what it was, but I remember you got memed.
Yeah, I remember that. That was after like a little boat thing with some crypto guys, and yeah, it was a rough one. I remember when that went viral, and that was it was funny for a little bit, and then it started to get annoying. Like
Yeah.
the crazy thing was, like it wasn't just like a Twitter thing. I started ending up in like work group chats as like a meme. Like like I remember like Jacob Sappington, who used to work at Structured and then I worked somewhere else. I don't know
Yeah.
where. Homestead maybe? I don't know. He would like he was sharing screenshots of their Slack account, and it was like when the client, takes too long to approve, da da da, and it's just me sitting on the street.
Oh my god.
Brutal, bro. I was getting mauled. But anyway,
That's interesting. And by the way, I noticed that
um,
both the two examples you gave was specifically towards Twitter. I guess like mine was like founder was general, and then the course was kind of general. Would you also say some of your stuff on TikTok as part of that, or you kind of think about it initially on Twitter?
I was talking more so just about
Okay.
Twitter, but I mean, yeah, when TikTok popped, like that was a whole new. That was, I think after that, Twitter stopped being as fun because I grew so fast because I had my Twitter in my TikTok bio, and all of a sudden I got like 10 million impressions, and I got like probably 10K followers in like a week or two,
Wow.
like when that happened, and it was all just random people. It like put me on like non-money Twitter for a while, and I was just like, dude, this sucks. Like I want to talk to my people, but I mean that was huge. Like that was huge for business and everything, but in terms of like actually, making me enjoy Twitter, that wasn't very fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. One last question on that, then we'll move to the topics. Do you think if you had had like your YouTube and you're active on YouTube or your Instagram and your TikTok bio, do you think you would have got more followers? I feel like obviously Twitter's big, right? But I feel like the TikTok user uses Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat more. Do you think you would have got more followers had you had a different link, or do you think you would have got pretty comparable?
I got a ton of Instagram followers, but it wasn't business. I had my personal Instagram on that. So that's why my personal Instagram has so many followers. It's not because like I'm just locally famous or anything. It's because when I popped on TikTok, I gained like probably 6 to 8 thousand, and a lot of them were fake, so that it came back down. But I was almost at 20K like
Wow.
when it happened, and then it went down to like 14. And I've just grown organically. I don't know how people follow me there, but yeah, no, that would have been huge for a business if I funneled them to a business Instagram. I just didn't think of that.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Also, before we go into the topics, did I tell you about the carnivore thing?
No, 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 no. What are you doing?
Okay, so I have been doing. Uh, you don't know anything about the carnivore diet or anything like that?
Loosely. I know I've heard of it, know very little bit about it. I haven't spent time researching it.
Okay. Um, I think you know what. Let's actually turn this into a topic because this is sort of like this is topic one is Mason does carnivore and why Mason does carnivore. It's sort of like a marketing thing. And like I watched myself get sold into this, and I didn't really buy any products. I did. I bought some guy's school group who's like sort of like a carnivore helper guy. But I watched myself get indoctrinated as a marketer in real time.
Okay.
So if someone wants to try and recreate this for their brand or their whatever, this is how it was done. So I had known of carnivore loosely, kind of like you, where it's like I know what it is, and like I have zero interest in trying it. Like whatever, like I don't know, it just sounds like a guy or like the the way that the weird people eat, where it's just like they're trying to be one with the sun or something like that, and they want to only eat what is of the earth or what I don't know.
Okay.
And so um, I kind of wrote it off, and then last Sunday I saw one TikTok about carnivore, and then I liked it, and then all of a sudden I had like 30 videos in a row basically talking about carnivore. All like and I was like sick and hungover in bed last Sunday, and I was just like scrolling through just like getting all of this information in all at once. And that night I like ordered my like first like carnivore meal. Like I ordered a steak and I made some eggs. Like I went to the store and I was like, that was fast. I converted fast. And once I tried it, dude, I had a meal that was like relatively small and was like actually healthy, but I felt really full and it was actually enjoyable. And so I've been thinking about like how that got done to me and how I got indoctrinated so fast. And like I really think the thing that got me was just like the sheer vol. I was like forced down a rabbit hole, and I received so much content like so fast. I feel like it wouldn't be a dumb idea for brands to run like a ton of like high frequency engagement campaigns to try and do the same sort of thing because like TikTok did that to me. I had, there wasn't one marketer who was in charge of all that. It was just TikTok, but it worked. I got converted from like a non-believer to like a fucking like a believer in like an hour or two. It was crazy. What do you think,
That's interesting.
Chase?
And are you gonna like stick to it for a couple weeks, couple months? Like you're committed?
I mean, I plan on doing it for a while. Like, okay, so I feel in insane. I wrote an email about this morning, and like I said, I used to like not really buy it because I was like, well, like how good could it be? You know, what I mean, I'm already eating kind of healthy, but when you eat really clean, um, it's like it gives you like you have no brain fog. I have crazy energy. All your bloating goes away. I have no inflammation. I slept great last night and the night before and the night before. I broke it because I um, I had alcohol on the weekend, which you can't have.
Oh, interesting.
And then once I got back on, I felt great again. And like, dude, I feel like I could do anything.
Wow. Have Yeah, it's interesting. Like I think any time that I kind of am, I guess, susceptible to kind of something like this, it's something that I've been thinking about, right? Like it's something that probably is on your mind potentially. Like you've probably been thinking about
Mm,
eating healthier, eating a little cleaner, sticking to maybe more of a regimen, potentially, right? I'm kind of just guessing. And then the fact that
mm,
you were hit with the content that was relevant to the thing or the things that you maybe were interested in, right? Like I feel like that's so much of marketing is just staying top of mind so that way when someone has like an epiphany moment, you're there and ready to kind of pounce type of a thing. So I don't know if like
yeah.
subconsciously or consciously you were kind of thinking about like I need to change a diet or oh man, after drinking I feel X, Y, and Z tired, hungover. What are the things I can do to keep drinking but like counteract it most of the time? So I feel like whenever I'm in this mindset of like thinking about something and then something pops up and I spend enough time going in, like there was that inherent interest, right? So it's like whatever they're going to put in front of me, I'm probably going to try. And you had a great
Mm,
experience, right? So that means like quote unquote the product or the service worked. So I
yeah.
don't know. Like, do you remember the frame of mind? Like, were you thinking about this prior, like wanting to diet or
No.
wanting to get jacked for the summer or wanting to lose weight, gain muscle? Like, were any of those things on your mind?
Yeah. They were, but I was already on a plan. Like I
Okay.
was already going to do it with like another mechanism, and this one just kind of got me. And do you remember the thing we talked about, trust hours?
Yes.
Remember that little theory
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
had?
Yeah, I like that.
I there might be there's just a multiplier when I mean, dude, this is the reason why people do like hour-long VSLs and really long sales
Yeah.
pages and like they post like 30-minute YouTube videos instead of like 10-minute YouTube videos, which I actually post the 10-minute. I should be posting longer YouTube videos. But there's a reason why people do that is because like the longer you spend with someone in a row, like it's very likely that you're
Yeah.
just gonna get them right there. You know what I mean? Like webinar, it's an hour-long thing where you paint the business model, paint the picture of them doing it, and then you pitch and they buy because they're so sold after an hour. You know?
Yeah, it's so interesting. Related to that, I was thinking about this too. Like, I've been, looking at stuff like yours and other people in the space, and I think the one area of opportunity for me is outside this weekly podcast, I don't do any video. All my stuff is written, right? And I think it's just so much easier. Like I think if you and I were on the streets, you'd probably be recognized more just because you're doing so much more video. Where I think like if something was online and it was my name, they might maybe recognize it more potentially because like they're just used to seeing things that were written. But I think the fact that people see your face and they understand your personality and they know you and they kind of like you, I think that affinity and kind of your concept of the trust hour, right? I think from what I remember, you basically were saying like 1 hour of someone watching something of yours or consuming something of yours is equal to you being able to sell something for about $100, right? I think that's kind of how you mentioned it to me, right? And it's just so much easier
Right.
for someone to get to the 1 hour of trust on a 1 hour video than it is someone reading 100 tweets or 100 newsletters of mine over the next 6 months, right? It's like, it's just such a different thing. And, everyone that I talk to, everyone that I watch that has big audiences, like, they're all dominating YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And that's really got me thinking about like my content strategy. It's just so easy and I'm just so lazy. It's just easy to create a tweet and post that tweet on 6 platforms at once, right? So I like that concept of trust hour. And I
Yeah.
think you're doing it the right way with leading with video and leading with your personality.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it makes it way easier. Like to and like because our thing is expensive.
Yeah.
And so like I need to like it would be like the equivalent of doing like a 2 hour sales call with someone. Like I'm basically doing the first hour and a half of a sales call
Yes.
on video so that when they get on the sales call with one of my guys, 30 minutes, it's easy, right? So um, before we move on, can I tell you something? So you know how last week we talked about the ghostwriting thing?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I had my inner circle call yesterday, and I told them I basically broke down because I've had a bunch of ghostwriting clients, and so has my younger brother Griffin, who's also a coach inside Inner Circle and is
Okay.
a killer copywriter. So I like taught I did like a whole like hour long breakdown of like how to be a ghostwriter,
Dope.
and I had like 120 people on that call, and I basically gave them an assignment. I said, "Here's what to do. I'm gonna like help Chase do this ghostwriting thing. We're gonna figure it out together." And I told them all like, "Yo, okay." I gave them like the LinkedIn assignment where like I want them to go and find 5 random personal brands on LinkedIn, kind of like yours,
Yeah.
right? And ghostwrite a post for them. And I'm gonna pick the 3. I know that 50 people are gonna do it, you know what I mean? But they're mostly gonna be bad. I'm gonna be really, really picky and pick the 3 best, like the 3 most banger ghostwriters. I already have one of mine, I think. Um, and dude, I think like we'll be ready to provide the service. So like we're kind of like building this in public, which is kind of cool. But like in about a week or two, like if you want to do this, like I will be down. Like I will be ready to go, and we will be able to fulfill quick for people.
Dude, that's so interesting. Shaq literally texted me last night too. Nick Shackelford texted me. Um, so someone had texted him basically saying, "Hey, I'm looking at 3 different, I guess, agencies for content creation. Do you have any recommendations?" And he goes, "I've seen one of them firsthand, but I can't speak to the other two. Let me ask Chase." So, so he texted me saying, "Hey, who do you recommend?" And I'm like, bro, I'd probably recommend this one over that one, although I haven't worked with them. I'm like, damn, there's so many opportunities for all this stuff. Mason keeps telling me to do this. It's just a lot of work, lol. And he goes, everyone needs content. I still believe the only way to scale the growth offer is to make content for people. It's just way more busy. Like we were literally texting about
Yeah.
this last night.
Yeah, we'll talk about this after.
Cool.
I'll I got I'll manage the whole thing, bro. Or, well, my people will manage the whole thing,
I'll have
and
my
we'll
people
split.
talk to your people, and we'll do it.
Yeah, yeah. My people will call your people.
Cool.
I'll have Abby call Jamie, and we'll figure it out.
Cool. Um,
Um,
yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious to see what they come up with. So they're gonna write some stuff for random people. Or they're gonna write stuff for you, for me. Like who are they? Who's like the assignment?
random
Oh,
personal
nice.
brands. That is just a sample. I just want to see what they can do. And then once I've verified that they're good, and I'll copy chief everything, like we'll make it. We'll like start being able to provide it and see if people want to do it.
That's dope.
Um,
Yeah, I think like good copy plus like a good visual, whether it's like an infographic or just like a screenshot of a tweet or some kind of meme or something, plus good copy, um, is definitely the way to go. And I think actually, to your benefit, I think LinkedIn's going to really start prioritizing video in the next like 3 to 6 months. They got a lot of stuff in beta, so I think it'd be pretty easy for someone like yourself to take good copy, plus like your viral videos from other platforms, potentially maybe remaking them to be a little bit more professional. Although I don't really know if you need that. Maybe right. And I think video is going to crush on LinkedIn pretty soon. So I need to figure that out as well.
Nice. Cool. Okay. So let's actually run this last one here. So I wanted to do failure stories. Because not because I love talking about like losing, but I think it's important that people know that you and I both fail, and we have plenty of businesses. You have like 4 agencies from the past that didn't end up working out for you,
Yeah.
and I have one that like kind of failed. I kind of shut it down. It probably could have worked, but us now, we're both good entrepreneurs, and I feel like for the agencies, like we probably, what we know now, we could make it work. Do you want to talk about like what went wrong in like one of your old businesses that didn't end up working, and maybe what you would have done differently?
Yeah, for sure. I think like when I think across like all of the businesses that failed, agencies or others, I think there's a few things. I think one is super common across all of them. So I've had multiple businesses now where I've had like three or more partners, oftentimes even five. Like the current agency, we had five. We're buying out two of them. A previous CBD business, there was five of us. In other agencies, there were three or four of us. I just think like when there's that many owners, there's just like way too many cooks in the kitchen. It gets to a point where like people have different interests, people have different skill sets, people have different levels of expertise. When you start a business, right, and you're all starting at ground zero, you guys all have the same level of expertise and knowledge often, right? Especially if it's a new business, like you all don't really know all that much. And I think as businesses grow and scale, you either grow with them or you kind of just die, right? And I think in a lot of the businesses, there was half of us that kind of grew and evolved, and another half that kind of, for whatever reason, were complacent. So I think like that kind of creates like this really weird tension and kind of rift between the owners where, if people are questioning others' competence or kind of value or the ability to deliver, you're just never going to see each other as equals. And kind of naturally, what happens is some of the owners start acting like owners and other people start acting like employees. And it's very kind of awkward and uncomfortable when owners act like employees and kind of others around them that work with them and under them can kind of sense that, right? It's kind of like, well, who do I report to? Who do I go to? How's this going to run? How do I not step on toes? So I think like having too many partners, while it seems like a great idea in theory, right? Like more people to get things done, I think it just creates chaos. So I think that was, not the only, but I think that was a big reason why a couple failed. I think too, right? Like depending on the reason in which why people start a business, I think is also really important because building a good business takes a really really long time. And I think when someone's trying to build a business to get rich quick or to exit the business in 1 or 2 years, it's probably not going to likely work out. And I've had that case as well, where I've been that person where I saw kind of short term cash and therefore I wasn't the best and I kind of lost interest because it didn't achieve the goals that I thought from the start were possible and feasible. And I've had it happen to me a lot of times too, where people started businesses with me and they just really weren't that committed. They just want to make a quick buck, and it kind of fizzles out. So those are kind of like the overarching kind of consistent themes of multiple businesses I've started. I can think of more as well, but those were kind of the main ones that kind of initially came to mind.
Interesting. Um, I definitely agree with the founder thing. I think sometimes it's even tough to have two.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the work is never completely 50-50 equal. It's always going to be like a little bit more weighted to one person. And it's also really hard to not like make it personal. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people start businesses with their friends, and when that inevitably happens, when like someone starts becoming more valuable to the business than the other person, it's a lot of resentment. It's not fun to like work in that environment. Like it really sucks. And then yeah, I've just never really seen it like really work out. I think it's different for us now because we actually don't need partners. We can basically hire just A-level not A-level, but like really good employees who can do that sort of thing without having to have another person like take 50% equity. You know what I mean? Because like when you're starting and you have no cash, like you can't hire like a 300K a year COO. Like you don't have the budget for it. You know,
Yeah.
you bring on talent and just give them as much of a chunk as you can. Um, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
So
And with that, sorry, with that, like I don't do drama, right? Like a lot of businesses I've been in, there's just drama, and I'm always like, dude, we're like too busy fighting internally that like externally we're gonna get clobbered, right? It's like we're supposed to be so strong in kind of like this iron fist internally. We're supposed to be buttoned up. We're supposed to get along. We're not supposed to be fighting each other because if we're fighting each other, we can never fight the competition, right? So I've had businesses too where like people were just in their feelings and like just got so butthurt over certain things where it's like, dude, like we should not be fighting with each other. There's something wrong here if we are. Like we need to be really strong and we need to be fighting the competition and we need to all be focused on the same goals, mission, objective. So yeah, the drama and the unnecessary politics, like I don't do that. Like as soon as that happens, it's like I'm out. It's not worth it. You know, there's
yeah,
way too much opportunity to get bogged down into the stress of all these unnecessaries. But yeah, I'd love to hear if you had one or two other as well.
yeah. And by the way, the best part about having those, if someone's creating drama and you're a sole founder, it's so easy to get rid of those people.
Yeah, later.
Like,
Yeah.
see ya, bye. Yeah. And luckily, I've never had that issue uh, with Copy MBA. I don't think I've ever had any like real. My sales guys are always bickering, but I love it. It's like the most entertaining thing in the
It's like
world. Like, because
competitive,
they're
right? Like they're
all so
pushing each other to get better in a
yeah,
way, right?
yeah. They're like I don't know. They just like make fun of each other. It's really good culture. We also have like I think I told you this. I have like a bunch of sales guys from one like online training company and a bunch from another. And so like some of them are repping this one like oh yeah we came from da 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 RCM or we came from Closer Cartel. And it's just funny to watch them go back and forth because like right now one's winning and the other one's
Yeah,
lagging a
yeah.
little bit behind. So it's and I'll text the owners because I know these guys and I'll be like yo your guys are catching up. Anyway,
That's funny.
um, my like failure story wasn't really as much of like a lesson thing. Maybe it will be once I like get it out of my mouth, but it was more of just like a story as to like how it actually like went down. And I've told this a couple times, but I don't think I've said it on the pod. But um, I went back uh, in my email address to see like exactly when it happened, but it was June 5th
Okay.
of 2023 was when I was like, "Yep, agency's done. Like this is over. I hate this." It was so at that point we've been slinging Copy MBA for about this is Inner Circle. It was a 3K program at the time.
Okay.
We've been slinging it for about a month and a half, and it was so much fun, bro. I loved the students. I loved the team. I loved the offer. Everything was just great. It was so good, and I was still working on the agency, and um, I remember I got on a call with this brand, and I don't think they exist anymore, so I'll say it. But it's called We Are Marlowe.
Okay.
It was it was an organic tampon company. Shout out Chris Mead because he sent us the lead. It was a layup. It was they were supposed to close. He was like, "Dude, these guys are great." Met him in Toronto.
Okay.
Four female founders for this organic tampon. Same thing, dude. Four founders
It's hard.
for this organic tampon company. I get on the call with them, um, and I had gotten so used to like selling like I guess info like over the phone because I was taking my own sales calls that like I was kind of switching back into like agency seller mode. And I was like really consultative. I was like really over delivering, like giving them all kinds of advice and stuff, telling them what they need to do and stuff, and telling them how we work. Like it was a really good call.
Okay.
At the end, they were like, "All right, send us a proposal. We'll look it over." And I sent an email with everything that we were gonna do. It was like 12 emails a month, whatever, the whole thing. Sent a pitch deck. There was sort of like a case study deck at the end that had some crazy results that we'd gotten for a couple of other clients, and the price on it was like $3,500 a month, right?
Okay.
And they ghosted. It was a B2B sale who couldn't afford the same price of the thing that I have been selling to like regular people to
Interesting.
teach them how to become copywriters, and they were piffing like that. And Marlowe couldn't handle a $3,500 invoice, and I was like, damn, like this is tough. And so I was just so frustrated that I told everybody in the team, I was like, all right, we're done in a week. I'll pay you all bonuses. Thanks for this, wonderful ride. It's been 18 months. Let's move on with our lives because they were
Final
all
straw.
half out anyway.
That's your final straw.
Huh? What's that? Final straw. And so, um, I think I don't know if there's a lesson in there, Chase, but I just thought it was kind of an interesting story. That was just like what made me want to not do this shit anymore.
Yeah.
And I still like do some client work, but like specifically doing like email marketing for broke e-commerce brands is just such a terrible model, bro. It sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Huh. Yeah. I mean, good for you though, realizing like the passion and the drive for that business wasn't there and then putting your all into one thing. And at that time, right, you were kind of split across a couple things that you were doing, right? And I feel like you just had this feeling and this inkling that Copy MBA and Inner Circle was the vehicle in which you wanted to dedicate the next 3, 5, 10 years to. And hey, in hindsight, looking back, it was a phenomenal decision. So kudos to you. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks, man. And I also like I've said this in emails and stuff. Like I get way more out of helping someone make their first 5K than helping an ecom brand make their next 500K.
Yep.
Just doesn't scratch the itch
Yeah.
because it doesn't feel like real money when it's just going in someone's business bank account. But when I see someone who like just closed a deal, there's a girl in my program who started like probably 6 months ago, and she's at 19K a month. And this is like a regular person
Wow.
who like I don't think has ever made that much money before.
Amazing.
19 grand a month, just like banging out copy.
It's huge.
And like that's a big transformation. That's like a quarter mil a year.
Yeah, I think when you help
Almost.
the individual that's a freelancer, copywriter, whatever, make 5, 10, 15K, that's directly impacting them. That's paying their rent, their mortgage, their bills, that's allowing them to live. And dude, I've seen Bo, for example, I've been talking to her quite a bit because she's contributing to my
Yeah.
course. Dude, just like the transformation that she's had, the things that she's been able to do. And obviously, right, like luxury is a choice, but like the cool things that she's doing that she probably didn't otherwise think she would, buying a Rolex,
Yeah.
and I think she got like an Audi, and just it's so cool to see like how the 20, 40, 60K a month, whatever she's making, 80K, whatever it is, like it actually is impacting her life directly. So it's really cool to
Hmm.
see.
Yeah. I love it, man. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Ain't no failure stories coming around from Copy MBA anytime soon.
Hell yeah.
Um, but dude, this is a great one. Thank you.
Yeah, much love,
Let's
brother.
uh, let's say bye to everybody, and I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Cheers, man.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next Friday. Bye.